Hey everybody, and welcome to The Void, a show dedicated to filling the void between being an employee and becoming self-employed. Most people refer to starting their own company as taking the leap, as if they're blindly jumping off a cliff and into the unknown. This show is here to help you understand that it doesn't have to be that way. As always, if you like what you're hearing on the show, please do us a favor and help share The Void with somebody else that might be wanting to start their own company. We saw an opportunity to help others understand that self-employment is well within your reach, and just as our businesses have grown organically and by word of mouth, we want this show to grow the same way. So if you see somebody asking questions about starting their own service-based business, please do us a favor and send them a link to the show. I'm your host, Mitch Smedley, and with me as always is David Hilton.
Mitch.
David.
You know that I don't watch a lot of TV, right?
Right.
I don't. I just don't. You know what I just got finished watching that blew my fucking mind?
What?
Tiger King.
Yeah.
Dude, I had never seen it.
Yeah.
It was on Netflix and Janine's like, look, let's watch it. And we don't.
Pretty enamoring show.
Dude, you can't make that shit up.
Right.
You could not sit down in a room with 10 guys.
Did you watch
smoke
the whole
weed.
thing?
I've watched both seasons.
Okay. So you watched the guy accidental discharge kill himself?
Well,
it wasn't accidental discharge.
No, he killed himself.
Yeah.
The kid killed himself.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't gay. And Joe was making him be gay.
Yeah.
And he was married to him and to the show. I was saying you could not sit in a room with 10 guys, smoke weed for 3 days, and write something that insane.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah. Real life is the way to go when it comes to video creation.
Dude, that bitch in Florida.
You're asking for a baskin.
Daniel
has a t-shirt that says, you're asking for a baskin.
That's funny.
In other words, I'm about ready to off you if you keep it up.
Well, she goes to Congress, gets in hubbubs with all these people, and then turn the feds. Like, that's the part of the story they don't really...
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, now they're hoping that Trump will pardon...
Well, they were doing that in the
Joe.
first season.
Yeah.
Or the beginning of the second season. I don't know when that was shot. Like, you can tell it was around COVID or right after COVID or whatever. And then, like, at the end, it just says, oh, they're waiting to see if Joe's going to be resentenced and this and that and this and that. And Janine and I look at her trying to look, that's it? Like, what happened? Yeah. Like, there's all this fucking crazy shit. What?
Yep.
Dude, blew my mind.
Yeah.
I sat there and binged it in like 3 days.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
Insane.
Yep.
Insane.
There's only 2 seasons?
Yeah, just 2 seasons.
How many episodes a season?
I don't remember.
7 or 8?
We have a producer, but we bring him clues, and then he doesn't look it up. I just see him out of the side eye over here.
As he's slowly grabbing his phone and looking.
Oh, no. Yeah. I've been... Like, I don't get sucked in. I was sucked in.
Yeah. Yeah, we watched that one. That was pretty good.
That was fucking crazy, man.
Have you seen Landman yet?
Not yet. I do love Billy Bob Thornton, though, so I will probably watch it. You'll love Landman because he plays a character that you'll just... I think when I'm
one-liners,
old...
just take care of business.
When I'm old, that's me.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. And
I would like to... Is it in the middle of nowhere? It looks like it kind of is in the middle.
Well, he's in Texas, in the oil...
But out in the oil field, like there's not a big town or anything?
Well, he lives in town.
Okay.
But he drives
like,
out
is
to
it
the
a small
fields.
town or like a giant city? Was it like Houston?
Oil field
or is
town.
it like Blue Springs?
No, it's like Odessa, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm probably going to live in a place like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not Texas.
Remember the movie Texas. Varsity Blues?
Yeah.
So the blonde cheerleader in Varsity Blues that covers herself with whipped cream?
Yeah, what's her face? Art producer's awful.
She's in Landman. And she's aged insanely well.
She's his wife.
She's his ex-wife.
Ex-wife, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they share a daughter together.
Yeah, she is.
She's aged very well for...
You think she's our age?
Yeah, probably.
Probably mid-40s?
Probably a little, maybe even just a touch older. Maybe, yeah, mid-40s.
Mid-40s?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, she looks good for being mid-40s.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
So, Landman's...
Damn. Well, I'll try to watch that.
Sheridan's hitting it out of the park with all those.
Some of the guys were talking about it in the group the other day.
Yeah.
Someone had posted something. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, if it's permeating that group, it's probably worth watching.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, in true to Hollywood form, a lot of people have always claimed that I should probably write a book or produce a reality
or just to have a podcast and do it that way.
Yeah, just share all my shit.
Yeah, just share all your crazy shit.
So
shit stories are next.
I sent David a photo today. I said, we're going on an adventure, and the photo is of me in my truck and I've got my AR in the passenger seat.
The only guy I know that carries an AR-10.
Yeah, it's the only AR I got.
308 for close quarters combat. Like, what the fuck?
So I got my AR in the passenger seat, and then I got my pistol in the cup holder,
which is all legal in this state.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I'm not breaking any laws.
Yeah. You know, if you want to borrow a smaller AR, just ask. Okay.
Get 8-inch barrel.
I am surprised that you didn't.
There's a chance that if I have to use these, I won't get them back for a very long time, and I would hate to not get your gun back for a very long time.
I've got plenty.
And then it would all come into questions of how did I acquire it and everything else.
You're like, I let him borrow it. What fucking... He's my friend. He's my best friend. I am surprised you didn't ask me to go with you.
Yeah. Well, I knew what your answer was going to be. Because you were chastising me in my text. You're like, you realize this is a bad decision, right? I'm like, yeah.
That's not like me either. Usually I'm egging people on. I'm like, let's do it.
Just let me know when you need a shovel.
Yeah, it'll be, it'll be lots of fucking fun.
Yeah. So a week and a half ago, 2.5 weeks ago, December 4th.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah. Danielle and I are on date night.
Have we not talked about this on the podcast?
Not yet.
Oh,
So Danielle and I are on date night. This is the first ever date night she's planned. Usually I plan them. But she had gone to this like holiday pop-up bar with her girlfriends a couple of days prior, a week prior. And she was like, this would be super fun for date night.
I don't get the pop-up bar thing. It makes
they're short-lived is the thing.
Like if it's a really cool, so Arrowhead has one every year for like a few weeks. Okay, that's cool. You get to go to a bar that's not a bar, but it's a really cool place that people like to go.
Yeah.
These are like fucking tents, most of them.
No, this was in a building.
Most of them.
Yeah. Yeah, most of them are like tents.
Or just in a fucking dirty old warehouse with sawdust and blood on the floor. It's like, was this a meat packing plant? What the fuck was this? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, no thanks.
No, this was this is a full-blown bar, but they completely decorated it for Christmas. I'm talking like gaudy amounts of decorations for Christmas.
Well, most of them are when they're Christmas. Was this the place that showed the porno?
Yes. Yes. So
either intentionally or unintentionally, no one really knows.
and so we talked about that on the show where Danielle's like at this pop-up bar with her girlfriends, and then she's like, oh my God, they just played a porno on TV, and
for like 30 seconds?
None of the people around like seemed bothered by it.
Or noticed.
Yeah. And so she got us a reservation to go there for date night. We go out there on Wednesday, park on the street in downtown Kansas City. It's like 20th and Grand.
Yeah,
the ghetto. We're in there for like 3 hours. And sure enough, they're playing that movie again. And
he sends me a picture, and it's just a dude laid. It looked like a car hood, and all you could see was the girl's head. And I was like, "What the? Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay."
So it's a Christmas-themed movie, but it's like from the '80s, where when they showed sexual graphic nudity in the '80s, like they showed you a lot, and so you look up for a minute, and you're like, "I'm watching a dang porno." But it's just an 80s Christmas-themed movie. I don't even know what movie it was.
It's just an R-rated...
Yeah, it's just a rated R movie. But you couldn't pull that off today.
Oh, no.
So you'd be like Blazing Saddles. But...
oh, man.
So, yeah, we go in and we have a blast. They have all these, like, Christmas-themed drinks that are all, full of cinnamons and peppermints and spices. And
were the drinks any good?
They were all right. I think I had one that didn't taste good. But it was like a ginger beer based drink, and I don't like those.
Yeah, I don't like flavored liquor, so I'm usually out.
Yeah,
unless I'm on a beach. Of course,
they're serving them in like fun glasses and everything else.
And,
and it's not overly like the drinks are a little higher price, but not crazy. Like $1 or $2 more a drink. It wasn't too bad.
So you're there
and their
3 hours.
Appetizers were amazing. Like they didn't have a meal, but they had like
really good,
very hearty appetizers.
Yeah.
So like you got a plate of meatballs, and they were like. They weren't quite the size of tennis balls, but they were close.
Big ones.
Yeah, it wasn't like little hors d'oeuvres. It was like appetizer.
Delicious.
And so, we enjoy ourselves.
Did you drink for 3 hours?
Yeah. Yeah.
How many drinks did you drink that 3 hours?
So that's another topic. If we want to deviate to that topic, I started
It's not a topic. It was just a question.
Well, I blacked out that night. So.
Did you really?
Yeah, I started a different medication, and I learned over that day and 4 days prior was the Chiefs game, and I blacked out after the Chiefs game too, and so I learned that, and I don't drink to excess,
No, you really don't.
So
You
I
really-
learned that like
3 or 4 for you is like that's max.
that's max.
Yeah, that's
Well,
like
3 or 4 on this medicine.
is it what
and
is
I
it?
don't remember the
What's the
night.
medicine?
Sertraline.
Oh, never even heard of it.
So it's
Dude,
an
when I-
anti-anxiety medicine.
When I used to take like if you take a Xanax and drink like 4 or 5 beers, same way.
Yeah.
It just like I just called it time travel. You just wake up at home and you're like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
The next day you're like, where are we?
Yeah.
You don't even realize what's like. Okay, no more of those.
Yeah.
Like I didn't take any more after that. Mitch, on the other hand, just keeps taking and keeps drinking.
Well, I need them, but I learned so.
But I learned I can no longer drink alcohol.
Yeah, I had an episode after a Chiefs game, which at the Chiefs game I had a total of 5 beverages over 8 or 9 hours. So that's not very much.
No, that's really not.
And I
Like
blacked
you
out
drink a
that
lot
night.
of water too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I blacked out that night and don't remember anything after we got home.
do you remember getting home though?
Yeah, I remember getting home.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting on the couch to like watch a movie because it was like a 2:00 game. So by the time we got home, it was
Yeah,
still
Early
6 in the evening.
7 o'clock.
But yeah, I passed out on the couch and I don't remember anything else. And I was like, man, that was weird.
Yeah.
And then we go out to date night and I'm perfectly fine. Like we make it home and I'm perfectly fine. Actually, I did not make it home perfectly fine.
You didn't drive either.
I blacked out on the drive home.
Yeah.
So, but
After your wife's mother had to come pick you up.
right. So we walk out of date night out of this pop-up bar at 20th and Grand and our car's gone.
I'm surprised you didn't call.
And it's Danielle's car. She planned date night, so she wanted to drive. And usually I drive, but she wanted to drive, and so she drove. And, parked on the street, locked the car, everything. There's no valuables in it other than the car itself. But yeah, car's gone. And I'm like, well, this is rather odd. And it's really ominous because you start second guessing yourself like hardcore.
Yeah. Did we park here?
Yeah, we parked a block and a half from like literally on the street, but like a block and a half down the street from the bar. And when we parked, we had to parallel park because it was like full.
Yeah.
I hate
going downtown.
When we left, there wasn't a car on the road. And so when we left, and I'm like, there's not a car on the road, and we're looking down the block, and I'm like, your car's not there.
Oh, fuck.
And so we just stopped like half a block or a block away from where our car was and turned around and walked back into the restaurant. And the cops are like, is there any sign of like window breakage or anything? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't like, you don't keep walking to your car like, hey, it's not there. Let me keep walking and it might just appear, like I know it's not there. But, so we call the cops. Of course, we call the tow lots and just make sure that it didn't like get impounded for some reason.
She parked in a bad spot or something.
That
happens downtown too.
It does. You can accidentally park in wrong spots. There was a sign near ours that said max limit of 3-hour parking, and we were close to the limit. But,
yeah. They don't come and tow you for 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Right. They'll give you a ticket. But yeah, called the tow lots. They didn't have it. They actually process, I learned, it's considered in the tow lot the moment it's hooked up to a vehicle.
Yeah, that's how they get away with fucking you out of that money.
Yeah.
Even if that guy releases it right there, you still owe the fine.
You still owe all the money.
It's fucking bullshit.
Yep. And so then we call the police, and of course they check the tow lots and verify that it's not and everything else. And then we have to call a ride home. And luckily her mom works right around the corner, and her mom was coming to drop some stuff off at the office anyway.
At 2 a.m.?
10:15 p.m. Her mom's weird.
I know. We're not gonna dive into that today.
So her mom gave us a ride home. I don't remember. She picked us up and then went and dropped the stuff off at her office. And I remember pulling into their parking garage, but I don't remember anything after that. So blacked out again. And so the next morning, we made the connection like, okay, this medicine is making me do this.
Did she say, yeah, you were asleep in the back? Or was she like, no, you were talking to me the whole time and you just don't remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Xanax does the same shit.
Yeah.
You said, well, I said, what?
Yeah, and believe it or not,
I did what?
Sertraline. Austin, look it up. Sertraline is I think it might be the generic for Xanax.
Well, Kaylin's on it too.
Sertraline?
Sertraline.
It's a generic for something.
Zoloft.
Zoloft. It's a generic for Zoloft.
Oh.
But it's an SSRI, and I don't know what SSRI stands for. I'm not even going to act like I do, but apparently SSRIs and alcohol don't mix. So
they
drink a beer.
They do mix. They mix very well. Mm-hmm. But just don't plan on doing anything or being productive.
Right.
Well, her seizure medication, some of it causes like anxiety and depression stuff, and so it's like you have to have another set of medication to like.
Yeah, you got to go medication to combat the medication.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sertraline is.
Yep. Hey, if you like what you're hearing on The Void and you want even more info, we just started a mentorship program specifically for trades professionals to start their business or to get their business to an incredibly healthy position. So if you'd like more info, click on the link in the description of this show. And
So no more partying with Mitch.
So we got no car, right? And this was Danielle's like pride and joy. It's her one possession that she loves.
Yeah, which I still don't understand.
She could take or leave the house. She could take or leave almost anything, but she loved that car. Yeah, she'd probably leave me any minute.
Love that fucking car, though.
And
just a regular...
So she's butthurt. We bought that car 2 years ago, had to fly all the way to Chicago to get it and drive it home from Chicago to Kansas City. It's kind of a rare car. And so we filed a police report. The police aren't going to do anything about it.
No, they don't give a fuck.
And
you just have to have the report.
Yeah. So then, obviously, we make the claim with our insurance, and the insurance, because we had a loan on the car, the insurance does like a fraud investigation anytime there's a loan on a vehicle that's reported stolen.
I had my truck stolen. They did a fraud investigation on that, too.
Yeah.
They just don't trust anyone, I think, is probably the deal. There's so much bullshit that they just have to deal with it.
It's easier for it to vanish than to try to sell it, maybe. I don't know.
That's probably true.
But
when they took my truck, I was like, dude, no one wants this thing.
Yeah.
Like what? No. Like no.
Right. Yeah. Some cars are. My brother always used to say that car's worth more stolen than it is rolling.
Yeah.
And
that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. That's not the case with this Jeep, but anyway. So we start the whole insurance gamut, and we're kind of waiting to see if the KCPD is going to find it and everything else. So I make a couple of calls, and I learn just how exactly easy it is to steal a high-end Mopar. Really any Mopar, but the high-end ones are the ones that are sought after. And so they have...
Yeah, no one wants a shitty Mopar.
Right. They don't want your Jeep Patriot, but they do want your Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT. But yeah, they have this device, for lack of a better term, it's a cell phone, that they can plug your VIN number into, and it reaches out and learns the code for that car, and that device becomes a key fob. And so as long as they have your VIN number, which they can look through the windscreen and get your VIN number if you don't have it covered, our new one will have it covered. They can get your VIN number and clone your key, and then they just take your car like normal, right?
Yeah.
And so the police were like, it makes it very difficult to catch these guys because you're literally trying to catch them while they're looking at the VIN. Because once they have the VIN, they walk away from the car, they do all their programming and everything else.
Yeah.
Then they unlock their car from that device.
And they don't enter the VIN. They walk by and take a photo of it.
Probably.
And keep walking.
Yeah.
It takes half a second.
And so then they walk, like the next time they walk up to your car, anybody looking at them would think you own the car because they just walk up, unlock it, get in it, and drive it away.
Yeah. People wonder why I don't like Dodges.
So then I've learned since they actually have one that doesn't even require the VIN. It's this little black box. It's like a 3-inch by 3-inch black box.
It's a learner box.
And all it does is scroll codes. And if you set it in front of a car long enough, it'll pick up that car's code. And it's like a master key for all Dodge Mopars. It's crazy. So
you think Dodge would do something?
You would think.
Nope.
So, and then they have another device that they can use, but they actually have to access the OBD2 port to use that one. So they have to break a window.
Yeah.
And then once they have access to the OBD2 port, they can start your car and go from there. So the KCMO police said that I'll probably never see it again. What they're finding with these is they most likely never find them, but when they do, all they're finding is just a bare frame sitting on the side of the road. They're like stripping every nut, every bolt, every piece of glass, all suspension, like everything.
Yeah, they're taking everything off of that and they're putting it in a 66 Fairlane, and it's fast as shit.
Yeah,
that's
probably.
exactly what they're doing.
Probably.
That's what I'd do.
And so...
Plymouth Fury, that'd be badass too.
So the insurance told me that it would be 15 business days before they settled this. 6 business days in, the insurance company called me and said, we're overnighting a settlement packet to you, which tells me the insurance also knows that we ain't ever seeing this car again, right?
Yeah.
So last Thursday, they tell me that they're sending this settlement packet in. Friday, we get the settlement packet in the mail, and typical insurance crap that you got to haggle and deal with everything.
Yeah.
They're undervaluing the car by about $6,000. So we're arguing with them on that. And it's just some weird insurance algorithms and weird insurance math that they use.
It makes you want to like call them every month and then haggle the price. Because that's what they do. Like, do I call every month and bitch and whine that?
Right.
No, I pay my bill.
Yeah.
Where's my money, motherfucker?
Yeah, this is farmers insurance, but I have a feeling that doesn't matter. The insurance company.
No, it does.
They're all behaving this way.
Well, your agent and your, what do they call the person?
Adjuster.
They don't, like, if you bitch enough, your agent will call them. Mine did with my truck because I had all those tools and stuff in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you better, he's like, he wanted to play we're separate deals and blah, blah, blah. There's nothing I can do. I said, you better fucking call him.
Yeah.
I said, I'm canceling all my fucking insurance.
Yeah, you're going to lose all my commission.
I said, this is fucking bullshit. I said, call him.
Yep.
He calls me back. Yeah, I called him. I talked to him. It looks like everything's going to be fine, blah, blah, blah. It's a smoke show.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Well, the insurance industry is one of those industries that's subject to massive and radical change here pretty soon with the development of AI. Because as soon as insurance realizes that they can sell massive amounts of insurance without having to pay sales commissions and they can pocket all that money instead.
Yeah, they're gonna.
Insurance agents are soon to be I don't want to say soon to be no longer, but.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the good side of that would be like, okay, now we don't have to pay that. Our insurance rates will go down. No, profit margins are going up, and we're going to be paying the same. It's fucking horse shit.
Yep.
Hopefully, what's his face will maybe put a stop to that.
Maybe, you never know.
Who knows?
But so yeah, the insurance they compared. So they have to find comparables. They find 3 comparable SRT Jeeps. Ours that was stolen was a 2020. They're comparing it to 3 different 2021s that have been for sale in the last 6 months.
Okay.
And they can only find 3 in within 150 miles of Kansas City that have been for sale in the last 6 months. 2 of them have already been sold, undisclosed sales amounts. All they can see is what they were listed for. One of them is still available for sale, and they want about $60,000 for it, and it's like beat to hell. And it's a year newer, and it has a lot more miles on it than Danielle's.
Okay.
But with the insurance math and algorithms and everything that they do, they're like, well, instantly, no matter what the sales price of that one is, they're like, it's a year newer than yours, so we're lobbing $2,800 off of that comparable because it's a year newer.
I'm like, fuck you.
And then they made a minor mistake. Ours had a sunroof. They said it didn't have a sunroof, so they docked $600 off of the comparable for a sunroof. And then they docked another like $2,300 off of the comparable just for vehicle condition.
And you're like, ours is in better condition than this one.
And yeah, and so I call and obviously dispute everything, and I'm like, the 19, 20, and 21 Jeep SRTs are all the same. So, and they all sell for the same price. So how about instead of choosing 2021s and then deducting $2,800 off because it's a model year newer, how about you go find 19s
and add
$2,800 to it because it's a model year older.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll warn you before you do that you'll end up paying me well over 60 if you do that. Because they all sell for about $60,000 in excellent condition. And then of course we talked about the sunroof thing, and then we talked about the vehicle condition. And I'm like, you have no clue what the condition of my vehicle was. You're just assuming that it's in worse condition than these. And she says, well, yeah, it's a model year older. And I'm like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
If they did do mileage credits. Because those had higher mileage, they actually credited money back for the comparable, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, what makes wear and tear on a vehicle? Is it age or is it mileage?
Yeah.
And she goes, well, it's definitely mileage. And I'm like, okay.
Is it stored inside or out?
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, so ours was stored inside. Ours had 20,000 less miles than the comparable.
Yeah.
And you think the comparable was in better condition than ours? And so she could see that I'm going to nitpick her on everything. And she was like, let me go back to the drawing board and figure all this shit out, right?
After that first phone call, I think that they intentionally lowball, which we all know this, right? And then they judge how the person is going to react when they talk to them to decide what level, quote unquote, money they're going to get.
Yeah.
Is this person a huge pain in my ass and actually took care of their vehicle?
Yeah.
It's going to cost us more money.
Right.
Like it's got to be, other than government, the second biggest scam in American history.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe pharmaceuticals.
Well,
it's up there.
Insurance is the top legal, like non-government scam, right?
Yeah.
The top public scam.
Yeah, it's horse shit.
So yeah, we, and then we tell her, like, you don't understand, like, our vehicle for being a 2020, it only had 30,000 miles on it. It was in pristine condition. And she was like, well, do you have any photos to prove it? And I'm like, I've got some photos, but they're not recent. And she goes, well, why not? Well, I'm not in the habit of taking photos of my car every week. Like,
dude, after that, my truck got stolen and all that bullshit, all of my very expensive stuff that I love, like my guitars, my amps, like all my high-end guns and stuff like that, I shot a video of everything and recorded everything.
Yeah.
Serial numbers, model numbers, dates, I mean, just everything. And I have it in a safe, in another safe.
Yeah.
So that I don't have to fuck with that again.
Right. Yeah, this isn't like, did you have it or did you not? They're just arguing with no founding, with no basis. They're just arguing the condition. And so I said, look, we paid $1,800 to have the car ceramic coated. People who don't take care of their shit don't spend that kind of money just to protect the paint.
Yeah.
Right? So...
And I want my $1,800.
I said, I'm happy to send you that invoice over so you can judge my character on how well I take care of my shit. I said, when the car had 21,000 miles on it, I put all 4 new tires on it. It didn't quite need new tires, but we put new tires on it. And they were 65,000. Like, we spent top of the money, like most expensive tires we could find.
Was that thing all-wheel drive?
Yeah.
Yeah, Janine's tires are expensive as shit, too.
Yeah.
God.
And so I'm like, we spent, 65,000 mile tires and they only had 10,000 miles on it. So, like, I've got...
Do I get money for that, too?
Yeah. They wanted all those invoices. And so now they're currently going back to the drawing board for all this, right? And so you're haggling all this and everything else. Well, then another one of their comparables, they were comparing it to, no, actually not another one of their comparables. I found a similar vehicle down in Oklahoma. It's about 3.5 hour drive from here. And they have the vehicle listed for, it's a 2021. But it's got within like 3,000 or 4,000 miles of what Danielle's car had. It's got 3,000 or 4,000 more than what Danielle's car had.
That's nothing.
But it's literally the exact same car, same everything, sunroof, everything, right? And the interior on it is also immaculate according to the pictures. And so I call up, and they've got it listed for 55,000. So I call up the dealer, and the dealer's like, I'm like, I want to look into that car. And they were like, cool, let me get you a price. And I'm like, well, your website says 55,000. He goes, well, let me just make sure that that's it. So then he calls back and he was like, yeah, it looks like we have $5,000 in reconditioning on the car. I'm like, what's that mean? And he goes, well, the sales price of the car is 61,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what had to be reconditioned? Like, was this thing crashed? The ad says clean Carfax.
We had to clean it. We put 3M on it. We put etched the windows.
Exactly. All that bullshit.
Yeah,
and so,
fuck those guys, dude.
So I'm
like, no, it says 55. I'm giving you 50. You want me to sell me the fucking car or not, dude?
Right. Dealer add-ons.
Dealer add-ons. Yeah.
And then they have this other thing, they call it their Patriot Pledge, where it's basically like for $5,000 of the $6,000 was their Patriot Pledge, which was like it's 100,000 mile bumper to bumper warranty, but you have to bring it in every quarter and they have to like look at shit and all this stuff. And I'm like, I live 3.5 hours away.
I'm not doing it, dude.
You can eat shit and die, right? and so I said, look, I already know this game. You're going to play your games. I'm going to play mine. I'm not buying your Patriot Pledge. I'm not binding myself to any kind of those quality things or anything else. I want to buy the car and I want to never see you again because you're 3.5 hours away. What does it take to buy the car? You've already been dishonest. It's not 55.
Yeah.
So what does it take to buy the car?
Yeah.
And so they end up coming back at like 57.5 out the door, done, got the car. Okay.
Gotcha.
And so,
are they shipping it or you got to go get it?
No, we're going to go get it on Thursday. But
you mean this Thursday?
Yeah, this Thursday.
Yeah. It's not that long of a drive, 3.5 hours.
Yeah, 3.5 hours. It should be an 8-hour round trip thing.
It's like St. Louis and back almost.
So, so in all of that process, I now have all of the credentials I need to go back to my insurance and be like, all right, I found one in Oklahoma that's a match for match. It's a year newer. It's got 4,000 miles more. So like, give me a credit for the 4,000 miles, take a deduction because it's a new year, call it a year newer, call it a wash. It's $61,000. So I'm like, give me 61 grand for my car and we call it good.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, don't you have, because we financed the car.
You probably owed a shitload on it.
I owe 60 on it.
Oh.
Right. And so we financed the car. We owe 60 on it, and the insurance is trying to give me like 54 grand.
Are you tired of complex and high credit card processing fees? The Void podcast has negotiated exclusive rates for the Void listeners. This program's tailored for trade businesses like yours. And if you're using House Call Pro, switch and you can expect to save $80 for every 10,000 you process per month. Don't let high processing fees drain your profits. Visit empowerpayments.com/the Void or call us at 913-423-1265 now and unlock your savings.
And I'm not arguing for him for the 60 because that's what I owe. I'm arguing for
That's
him
what you
for
think
the
it's
60
worth.
because that's
Yeah.
what it's worth.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, don't you have gap insurance? And I'm like, you realize what you just alluded to, right?
Yeah.
You alluded to frauding the gap insurance out of money
Yeah.
because you're lowballing me on the
Yeah.
offer of the car. We do not want to go down that road.
Yeah, because I record all my conversations just to let you know.
Yeah.
Like, that's the next thing out of my mouth,
Yeah.
even if it's not true.
And they were like, oh, no, we're not alluding to that. I'm just verifying that you are protected if the value doesn't come back right. And I'm like,
yeah.
no.
Translation, I'm going to shut the fuck up about the
Yeah.
gap insurance.
I said, we're not going to worry about what happens on the back end. We're going to worry about making sure you're a company of your word and you pay the appropriate value for the car.
Yeah.
And so while all that's going on, so now the insurance is reviewing it. That all happened Monday morning. Okay.
Only Mitch Smedley.
Yeah. So I drive out to Kansas for this program that we're doing. And
Can I say this? It's a joy knowing you. It just always brings a smile to my face. This is like every 2 months something
I know,
like this
it's always
happens to you,
something
dude.
interesting. So
It's great.
I drive out to Kansas and I set up this installation for a job that we're going to do. And on the drive home, like there's some communication I have to do after I set these up. I got to get communication to Danielle so that she can get all the stuff on the schedule, right? And so I'm calling Danielle and I'm talking to her through Bluetooth in the truck on the drive home. And I'm driving, from downtown Kansas City back to our house. And I'm in the middle lane doing like 70 miles an hour. And all of a sudden a white Jeep SRT flies by me at like 90. And it's filthy. And I noticed it had a badge in the back right corner of the thing. And we had Danielle's car debadged. And so I asked her real quick, I'm like, hey, sorry to interrupt you, but your Jeep, did it have a badge on the tailgate that said SRT? And she goes, yeah, that's the one badge we left. We took all the Grand Cherokee stuff off, but that's the one we left. And I'm like, okay, well, one just drove by me, and they're not that they're not that common. They're very rare.
Yeah.
So I had to speed up. I got up to about 100 miles an hour to catch up to him. And he gets off at Van Brunt, which if you're familiar with Kansas City, I-70 and Van Brunt is like the gut of the ghetto. It's not a good spot.
Yeah. That's where my grandpa and his second wife lived.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, until they were about 85.
Well, back then it probably was nice.
Dude, no, this was like, I think they moved. I had to go help them move in like 2010.
Okay, yeah, it was
2010.
Yeah, it was
2010. Oh yeah, it was a shit show.
It was a shit show.
Oh my
Like
god.
guards on, like we saw a church.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there was like guards on the windows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because shit's just getting broken into all the time.
Yeah. And so he gets off at Van Brunt, and I get off behind him. And I'm already noticing some similarities from her car to our car, or from their car that they're driving to our car. I vinyled the roof black, made the top of the Jeep black. And then Jeep SRTs have a weird spoiler over the back window. And so it was kind
I just can't remember.
It's kind of interesting how I had to wrap the vinyl around the spoiler. And basically I cut it to where the vinyl's only on the top half of the spoiler and the entire spoiler's not black. And so I'm telling Danielle, I'm like, it's got a black roof and the spoiler seems to be vinyled the same way I vinyled yours. The thing's incredibly filthy. And there was one identifying thing. Well, there's two identifying things that you can tell from 20 or 30 feet away with her car. One is I painted the calipers purple. They come from the factory red, and I painted hers purple because purple's her favorite color. And then there was a touchless car wash that malfunctioned and blasted some of that vinyl off of the antenna on the roof. So the antenna has like 2 quarter-size white spots on it. And so they turn left off of that stoplight. I pull up next to them, and now I see the 2 white spots on the roof, and I see the purple calipers, and I'm like, that's
my car,
that's my
bitch.
Jeep,
Yeah.
right? And so I take a real quick video of it, record it really fast, and then I start calling the cops, and the vehicle noticed I was there. They noticed I was behind them whenever I caught back up to them on the highway.
Yeah.
So now the vehicle noticed I was there. They took a hard left, kind of fast,
Don't
with
you
no
know
signal.
Don't you know how to stalk a woman? You stay way back.
Yeah.
You cruise. You follow her real slow.
Yeah. And so they turned left, I
Lesson
turned
learned.
left, and the chase was on. Next thing I know, we're going through neighborhood streets at like 60 and 80 miles an hour, chasing each other.
Allegedly.
Yeah. And at this time, I've already told Danielle, like, I got to let you go and call the cops, right? So now she's following me on her little like Life 360 locator apps to see where we're at.
Drinking wine, sitting down in her pajama pants. Oh, look at this.
Yeah. And so
This motherfucker.
I'm trying to call the cops while I'm in chase of this car. And so I call call 911, and it's like, beep, beep, please hold while we find a person for you.
Have you never called 911
Beep,
before?
beep,
Or has
please
it
hold.
been a while?
Not in Kansas City, Missouri.
Dude, it's a shit show.
You go anywhere outside of Kansas City and they pick up like no rings. Here, it did this whole beep, beep, please hold thing for the entire car chase.
Have you seen that stuff on the news about them? Like, there's like been this big stickler about like when there is an emergency, no one can even get through.
Yeah.
Because people are calling like, my cat's fucking gone. My cat's never gone for more than an hour. It's just like, hello.
Yep.
What the fuck?
So, they ended up the vehicle lost me. I was in my Lightning. The Lightning is just as fast as that Jeep, but that Jeep weighs less, so it can brake later and it can turn faster.
Yeah.
And I almost rear-ended my own Jeep like twice
And
chasing
it
them.
has top speed.
Yeah, it's got top speed where the Lightning doesn't, but we weren't in an area where we were seeing top speeds.
Yeah. That's why these, not to get off topic, but like the E-Ray that Chevrolet came out with, it's a hybrid of electric and then like a turboed V6 for once you get up and get moving.
Yep.
That's the wave of the
Yeah.
future.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Fills in
Totally.
the gaps.
Ferrari's doing one too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
If you want to
they
get
end
me
up
anything
losing
for
me.
Christmas, that's what I've been looking at.
Well, it fills in for the turbo lag, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they end up losing me, and so I just stay on the phone with. By the time they lost me, KCMO still hadn't picked up yet, and
How
so
long was this? 10 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
maybe.
Okay.
It felt like 10 minutes,
Yeah,
so
you're
that's why I
going
say
that-
probably 3.
Yeah, well, I like to get the details.
Yeah.
When you're in the moment and flying through neighborhoods, I bet it felt like a huge.
It was actually 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit.
And so I just started cruising around the neighborhood thinking maybe, I mean, they were turning into this neighborhood whenever they started running. So their goal was to be here somewhere. And so I end up finding it parked outside of a house.
Yeah.
And I turn a corner on a road and I'm like sitting there like head on with my Jeep, right?
Yeah.
And we're at 28th and Quincy in Kansas City. Like we're not in a good spot.
Yeah. This is
And-
also why I always keep a gun in my truck.
Yeah.
Just-
I was unarmed at this moment.
I always carry
You had an
one.
address.
And so like,
But I had
like
an address.
literally as I was chasing them, I was like watching the back window for bullet holes to appear in the back window. I figured I wouldn't be able to hear the gunshots, but if I saw the back window shatter with bullet holes, I'm out, right? And so,
Gotta get low, man.
yeah,
Super low.
I mean, this isn't like a Honda Accord where they're just going to ditch it and they're, it's a nice car,
No.
right? So they're
Yeah.
gonna
And
gonna try to
It's
protect
hard to be
their
inconspicuous in the only green and white Lightning
yeah.
that any of them have ever seen down there.
Yeah. And so I'm facing this car head on for a minute. I parked in front of it for about 10 seconds, and I'm like, this is dumb because the windows are tinted so dark. I can't even tell if somebody's in it or not. The headlights were on, the taillights were off, which means they just got out of the car,
Yeah.
and the headlights stay on for a little bit.
Should have pulled them valve stems.
And so, yeah, hindsight being 2020, I probably should have slashed the tires or something, but I didn't even want to get out of my vehicle in that area. Like that's not a good part of town, right?
No, it's gangster.
So I decide to drive around it. I drive around it, drive down to the next block, and turn around. It's about a block and a half away. And as I'm turning around, KCMO finally picks up the phone. And so I'm telling them we're at 28th and Quincy, and I need police officers as fast as possible. My car was stolen a week and a half ago, and ironically, it just drove by me on the highway. And it's parked in front of a house right now. And this dumb bitch on the phone, she was like, I need your case number before I can do anything. And I'm like, ma'am, I'm actively chasing my stolen car right now, and I'm on the phone with you. The last thing I need to be doing is digging through my phone looking for a case number. She's like, well, if you want anything done, you're going to need the case number. I can't do anything without the case number. And I'm like, look up my name. Look up the car. You'll find it.
Yeah.
And she was like, it doesn't work like that. And I'm like, bullshit, it doesn't work. You don't work like that.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't like the way you're talking to me. And I'm like, I don't fucking like the way you're talking to me.
But like, I've spent so much money. This is my valued possession. Like, I've worked hard to get it.
Pay my taxes.
And you like, really? You get like, this is the time you get all fucking uppity? Like, come on.
And so fine, I told her, I'm like, fine. I'll text, drive, talk on the phone, and chase a vehicle through neighborhoods at high speeds. This is what you forced me to do.
Yeah. Hope I don't get in a wreck and kill a bunch of people.
Yeah, so I find the case number. Danielle and I have this thing where anytime we have to exchange important information to each other, we text each other. And even if we're like sitting next to each other talking, we'll still text each other. And so that way, if we ever, like, we can search text messages. And so that way, if we ever have to recall a date or a number or anything, we can just go to the search, right?
Okay.
And so I went to our messages, I typed case, and it popped right up. And so I gave the lady the case number. And she was like, okay, I'll see if we have any officers in the area. Well, by then, they had already gotten, I saw two guys get out of this house, run across the street, holding their pants up, jump in the car and take off.
Yeah, they were like,
and
this loser left. Let's go. We got to go now.
Yeah, they were hiding out for a second. They saw me drive by, and then whenever I left, they dipped.
Yeah.
And so then they lost me, right?
Yeah.
So then I start heading home, literally 2 blocks east of 28th and Quincy.
Saw a cop?
No, is a fucking police station. We're 2 blocks from the cop station, and this dumb bitch won't send a cop 2 blocks.
Yeah, well, none of them were probably there. They're on patrol. They're out.
There's hundreds of cop cars in that parking lot. But
you know, they're like 140 short.
I know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they take off. Well, I've got it on video and all this stuff. And so
text me a video. What?
Yeah.
Like what? Like just in the middle of the day I'm working. I'm like, what? Why is Mitch sending me these stupid fucking videos?
Total.
And then I'm like, oh, this one actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Why he's sending it to me?
It's going to up on that website of like the last videos people took before they died.
Yeah.
Before they died.
Yeah.
Right? And so now
That's dark,
there's
Austin.
a Facebook group in Kansas City called Stolen KC, and if you have like a vehicle stolen, you can post it on there, and a whole bunch of these vigilantes will help like look out for it.
Vigilantes is the best word you could have
everybody's told me, like, since it got stolen, they're like, you need to post it to Stolen KC, and I'm like, does that really work?
No, half of the people on there are the criminals, so they're like, okay, they saw it, they posted, we got to go.
Right. And so reluctantly, I'm like, I'm kind of just wanting the cops to do their job. Like, I wouldn't have gotten involved in this if it didn't drive right fucking by me. You know, it's not like I was out looking for it, right?
That was today.
Hold on. I know where you're going. But at this moment...
Sometimes you are just a walking contradiction, and I love it.
So at this moment, we had written the thing off. We had figured it was already parted out or long out of the city or whatever. And then once, like, it changes your perspective once you realize, like, no, it's still here. And it's still in...
You've already got the new car.
Not yet. But yes.
You've paid for the car.
Yeah.
You've signed an agreement to buy this car.
Yes.
The last thing you want
is to have 2.
Is to get that car before you get your check.
Right. So, I'll probably have the car before the check comes anyway. But,
No, I mean, the old car.
Yeah,
because when you get the old car back and they haven't cut you a check, they get to decide.
It'll be totaled.
And
I have no doubt they'll total the car.
Oh, you've already done pissed them off.
Yeah,
the insurance people. That's what I'm saying.
Fine.
They may just be like, you know what? We're gonna pay for he's taking the fucking car.
Yeah.
And we'll just we'll repair it for him.
Yeah, no, I have no doubt it'll be a total loss.
Yeah.
By the time that they...
Well, if they let you buy it back for like 10 grand.
I'll totally buy it back after they total it out.
No, I was going to say I'd like it because I'm going to strip it and buy like an old Fury or something.
Yeah.
And we'll put all of that shit in it. It'll haul ass.
So I reluctantly joined this Facebook group, Stolen KC, and post the video that I took. I posted pictures of what the car looked like after we had it ceramic coated. And I posted all the particulars in there, the date that it was stolen, where I found it, and all this stuff.
Yeah, where I've been in a high-speed chase allegedly with it.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny, the interesting comments that are on that. They're like, you mean you were right next to your stolen car and you still don't have your stolen car? And
I mean...
Ride along with me next time. We'll go there.
Yeah.
You get out of the car.
And it's like, what do you want me to do? You want me to crash into my car with my truck?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
That's not going to solve the problem. Like, hey, I'm missing one car. Let's total 2 in the process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I do make very bad decisions when my adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah.
Like I probably at least try to shoot out the tires, and which I'm in trouble for at the time, and I know it, and I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
Like,
All right, so you've newly started your company and you're trying to pinch pennies. However, you don't realize the biggest thing that's hurting you right now is not gathering all of your information into one spot and making it super efficient for you to use. So the answer is Field Pulse. It gets you off of paper tickets. It gets you off of all of that crazy office work at the end of the day and reconciling all that stuff. And it lets you organize everything with ease. It puts it all into the computer. It actually puts it all into the cloud. So it's not even putting it on your computer. And it lets you organize your customers. It lets you organize all of your service calls. Heck, it'll even route you to your service call. And the best part is, even after all of that, you'll probably realize about a 100% growth in your business just in the first year of using Field Pulse. So if you'd like to check out Field Pulse and see what great looks like, click on the link in the description of this show.
I mean, I would have the car back, but it'd be all fucked up.
Yeah, it would have, so I was unarmed, and I knew the moment I saw the car, I'm like, wow, I'm not really prepared to have an altercation. And so...
Never stopped you before, Mitch.
Yeah, I know. Times are different these days. But I was unarmed, and so it's like, I'm not going to go, confront these guys. It's not worth that. I'm a husband and a father before I'm a car owner. And so the idea was more or less, let's just follow them and see if the cops can catch up to it. But I mean, the amount of people
you gotta stay back, man.
Yeah, they're trying to trash me, oh, tell me you're not a proponent of 2A without telling me you're not a proponent of 2A and all this stuff. And I'm like, heavy proponent of 2A, but I was without tools at the moment. If you catch my drift, I was not equipped with the proper tools to carry out the job.
And then you got crushed for that too.
Yeah, and they're like, well, never be without tools.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. Okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So
we all forget. I forget.
Yeah. And that post, so that video's been viewed 50,000 times in less than 24 hours. And that post is instantly put me, so this Facebook page I joined yesterday, I am now considered a top contributor.
You're an all-star contributor.
It's 189,000 people in this Facebook group, and in one day, that post had enough traction to put me as a top contributor.
That's
in
hilarious,
the group.
dude. That's hilarious.
So,
people probably watched it and stopping it every second to get the details.
Yeah,
and
to
stuff.
get the license plate. So the thieves have already swapped it out to a stolen dealer Kansas license plate.
Yeah, that's
and it's got this grayed out cover over it to where you can even barely read the dealer
that's
tag.
rule number one when you're a gangster.
And
have
you can
fake dealer plates everywhere.
You can tell by how filthy the back is that thing has spent almost its entire last 2.5 weeks at full throttle.
Dog, this thing is
because
so
it's
fast.
all black on the back of it.
It's so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing's ruined.
But in all of that process, I've had countless people message me. It's wild how much the public will rise to, the public wants to go be nosy. They want to go do their own CSI stuff. It's wild.
People we've had arguments about this, about how much people love drama and love being in other people's business. I hate it. It drives me fucking insane, but you're right. People are just sitting at home with nothing to fucking do.
I've had 4 realtors go into their realtor software and provide me with names, addresses, and phone numbers of the listed owners of that house. I've had people then take that listed owner's name.
Oh my God.
And then run it through CaseNet.
Yeah,
and find out that this guy has stolen a lot of cars and he was in a high-speed chase and crashed into a school at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Was it with that Jeep?
Yeah.
No, but it's just an indictment of the fucking
it just lets you know who
judicial
you're dealing with.
Well, no, he should probably be in jail.
Yes,
and he's
absolutely.
not.
Right.
Yeah. We just let him walk with warning.
Yeah, thank you, Gene Peters Baker.
Fuck that bitch.
This is what happens.
And this thing, you were, sorry to cut you off, but it's a negotiated of some sorts where it's I want my car, but I also want to live. And there's sort of a rule with I follow Jordan Peterson talks about it. If your life is being threatened or you have no idea the craziness of somebody, the best thing to do is to either if they're robbing you, but just to get yourself away from the situation.
Right. Life is more important than anything else, right? I've had this active conversation with my wife that if somebody breaks into our house and I come downstairs and there's a guy holding my TV, I'm not shooting the guy. I'm going to tell him, if you take one step towards me or my family, you're dead. Get the fuck out of my house. I don't even care if you take the TV or not. Get out, right?
I probably shoot the guy.
I would have a hard time living with myself for shooting a guy for stealing my TV, right?
I've
now,
done
that
a lot
doesn't
of
mean
bad
I'm
things.
okay with it. It doesn't mean I'm a pushover, but living with the guilt of having to kill somebody is a hard thing, right? Now, there was zero guilt of killing somebody in protection of my family. But if you're standing in my living room stealing a TV when you thought nobody was home, my family is not really at risk yet. You take one step towards my family,
You're splitting hairs.
and now we're at risk,
Is
right?
he crawling in the window? Like hasn't got to the TV yet?
I don't know.
And you no, I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Like he breaks into the house, crawling into the fucking window. You don't know if he's there for the TV.
Right. Yeah. You gotta
Once he's committed the crime and dedicated himself to.
intentions first.
Yeah, the whole
Jesus.
point of this is like if it's
No, the point is shoot first, ask
Well,
questions later. That's the fucking point.
well, no, the point of this is like you have no idea who they are, what's inside the house. You're like, dude, there could be 15 people in that house.
Right.
Yeah,
Now,
that
I'd be
person is
screwed.
taking their own
Yeah,
life
I'm already
into
outgunned
their
because
own
I'm
hands.
no gunned.
Even if
at
it
that
was,
moment.
yeah.
Right.
I
And
was still talking about the house. Sorry.
a
you're
lot
good.
of these comments are like, man, I would have pit maneuvered them, or I would have pulled in front of them and forced them out of the vehicle and all this. And it's like, dude, I don't know who's in it. I don't know how many people are in it. I know I don't have a gun, and I can only assume they do. So that's not something that I'm going to go push the issue on, right?
No, you're right. I agree with that part.
So a couple of these realtors have sent me all that stuff. But then a lot of other people.
Did you put it all together in a file and take it downtown and be like, hey,
I kind of have something like that. Well, downtown doesn't need it. They're not going to do anything with it.
detectives?
He has
they
a wall
won't do anything with
downstairs
it.
I know. Just
with like
funny.
these pins and strings down there.
He's down there trying to find the perp.
Yeah. And so then somebody else said my car got stolen. And when they got stolen, they took my phone, and my phone was on and active and in the car for about 4 hours before they found it. And so I just followed my phone around, and he's got all these screenshots of everywhere his phone went. And one of the screenshots, it goes to that house.
Yeah.
Where my car was, right?
Oh, it's part of the operation.
And so
Hey, cops, how about you're telling me that we have very skilled detectives in this town, and the fucking community Facebook has put this together in like one day.
Yeah.
And like you can't get this guy off the fucking street.
Right.
And I'm not bashing cops. I'm totally pro cop. 2 uncles that were cops. My cousin Grant is a cop.
Yeah.
2 of my friends were military policemen.
Anti-prosecuting attorney because they're a piece of shit.
It's insane, man.
Yeah.
The amount of we let people run amok and do whatever the fuck they want.
Under the heading of, well, you have insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't have to use it if you did your fucking job.
Yeah. And you know what? Insurance wouldn't be as expensive if you maybe deterred these losers from doing this stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh, well, I'm going to bitch about my insurance and then not do, like, come on, be part of the solution.
Right.
That's a real problem.
And so, yeah, I've got all of this information. I've had a whole bunch of other people reach out to me telling me that they've seen the car at this location and this location and this location. So I know where the car's hanging out. And so today I had about 2 hours to kill before our podcast.
So I loaded up my guns and I went on an adventure.
So
Literally.
2 hours to, no,
I'm just kidding.
I didn't go on a killing spree.
I know I got here. I know I got here and you weren't here.
Yeah. Well,
You know what? Try to respect my time, Mitch.
Well, the stoplights in the ghetto take a little longer to get out of there than I thought. But yeah, so I went out with protection this time, and I figured I would just peruse the area. And really, the tool that I wanted to use the most was I was just going to slash the tires and do what I could to disable the car and then call it in.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. What happens if you do that and you somehow get the car back?
I'm confident after what I saw the other day. I'm confident the car will be deemed a total loss if we get it back.
That's not what I'm talking about. There is no win for you to do that.
So the win for me is basically stealing the car back from those who stole it from me and still collecting the insurance money.
So it's just a personal, like, yay, I did it.
Yeah, it's so this is a hard thing to do. So
I know,
like,
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
that's a good topic of conversation.
It's a weird position to be in because you're trying to not let your pride get in the way, right? Pride cometh before the fall.
Yeah.
So this isn't a prideful thing.
Yes, it is.
But at the same time, pride is involved, but pride's not driving it. At the same time, it comes down to one of these things of like, if I know my car's there, and if I didn't get off at the exit ramp, and I didn't do what I did yesterday,
it's eating a hole in your brain if you know it's there.
It's not only is it eating a hole in my brain, I'm no different than the justice system that I'm bitching about not doing shit. Because here I've seen my own car and I didn't do anything.
Yeah, but you
know
can't.
what I mean?
You stealing the car, and I'm only devil's advocate this play.
Yeah.
You getting the car back for the insurance or whatever, doing their job doesn't change how they're prosecuted.
Yeah, it doesn't punish
You know what
the
I
guy,
mean?
right?
It doesn't keep him from doing it.
Right.
He probably is like, oh, I got to go get another one. This one's got flat tires.
Right. Well, so the other part of my time, like I was full on ready to, if things worked out perfectly, I was full on ready to like cancel you guys for the podcast. Because the other thing was like, okay, if I find it and nobody's in it, well, then we'll get a cop out here and we'll just let them sit here until somebody gets in it and drives it.
They won't.
And
do
then
that.
they'll go catch them.
They might.
And
Some of them guys are cowboys.
What's bullshit is the only thing the cops could charge them with that time is being in possession of stolen property. They can't prove who stole it, right?
Yeah. Which is a misdemeanor.
Right.
It's not even a felony.
Right. But yeah, it's trying to straddle that line between, do I want that car back now that I've seen it in this condition? No. But do I still want justice? Yes. And I feel like I can't complain about the police and their inability to do anything. And I don't say inability like they're incapable. They're fully capable. The problem
they don't have
is
the manpower.
Our prosecutor doesn't do anything with the police's good work. And so eventually on a long enough timeline, the police say, why do the work if the prosecutor's not going to do shit?
Yeah.
Right?
They don't give a
fuck. In other words, 20, 30 years ago, if you were caught driving a stolen car, you were charged with stealing a car. And then you had to like argue your way back out of it, right?
You had to prove.
My brother's cousin's buddy's uncle gave me this and blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Whereas now, they won't even try to prosecute you for stealing a car. They'll just go straight to in possession of stolen property.
Yeah.
And I know firsthand from personal experiences with close family and friends that in possession and stolen property can get drug out in the court system for 7 to 12 years, and you never see a day in jail, and you never see more than $1,000 fine.
Yeah.
So
it's bullshit.
It's total bullshit. And all they do is they all fall back onto, well, you have insurance, so let your insurance do the work. And even that bitch on the phone, the KCMO dispatcher, she was like, well, did you give this case number to your insurance? Because they should just be handling everything. And I'm like, they shouldn't have to handle anything if you would do your job. Right?
Yeah.
This isn't protect and serve anymore. It's like tax and extort.
It is tax and extort.
And so, we've deviated from what the police used to do. And now they just want to push fucking paper and help you process your insurance claim.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to.
Right.
They don't want to. Cops want to do the right thing.
Yeah. And it's hard to talk about the cops in a bad light because it's not their fault. It's literally their general ownership or management's fault. It's the prosecuting attorneys and everything else. And I don't know exactly how police are funded. I don't know the ins and outs of that. So like,
it depends on where you're at.
Yeah. So like, if they collar a car theft suspect and they recover a stolen car, I don't know if that pays them anything. And obviously follow the money if you want to find the driver of motivation, right?
Yeah.
And so if the police are motivated to find stolen cars, that means they're motivated financially. They're going to get a perk, they're going to get an attaboy, the department gets a bonus or something for that, right? Maybe for all I know, and I'm totally speculating, for all I know, an insurance company might pay a police department $500 for recovering a stolen car. I don't know.
They fucking should.
They should, right? But it's very obvious that there is no financial motivation for the police to go after car thieves or anything like that because they have no motivation to do it.
Well, there's no motivation because, like you just said, they're not being prosecuted.
Right.
So there's no urge or how do I say this? There's no exceptional reason for them to do so.
Yeah.
Like they don't have to go above and beyond to do that.
Right.
Like I drove by 8 crack houses that I know are going to get prosecuted. I'm going to work on that and not on this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like when you glorify crime, like we have from 2019 till basically like
today,
a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago, like when you glorify crime and you don't punish people, it enables more crime.
Yeah.
People feel
mostly
free.
Peaceful protests.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you burn down a building and no one gets in trouble for it, now it's like, oh, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Right.
And then when you do get caught doing whatever the fuck you want, you don't go to jail, oh shit, I'll just steal another fucking car.
Right.
And then crime is up in these areas with all these liberal fucking prosecutors. You know, it's to the point where guys don't want to be cops.
Yep.
Good cops don't want to do their job because they know there's nothing they can do about it.
Yep.
And all it does is create it just creates a culture of lawlessness.
Yeah.
Basically. And that's where we are at now. You would think, with, like you were saying, money being the driver, you would think these insurance companies would step up and be like, hey, what the fuck are you doing here?
Right.
Because all you're doing is driving the bus of higher insurance rates, which I know that means they make more money, but they're taking a hit at the initial.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Well, and
I mean,
so
what the fuck?
There were a couple of people that commented on there. And again, the people on that post, they love to bash KCPD, and it's not really their fault, right? But they get the blame because it all funnels through them.
Yeah, well, they're the face of it.
Yeah.
That's why.
And so there were a couple people that were like, my car got stolen and I recovered it. Like I saw it parked on the side of the road.
I went and took
I had
the motherfucker.
keys. And so I went and took it. Right. And I drove, like one person said I drove it straight to the police station because I didn't know what was in it. And so I drove it straight to the police station. I handed the keys over to him and I said, I just recovered my own stolen car, but I want you guys to check it out. I don't know what's in it. For all I know, there could be illegal stuff in there. And that person was arrested and placed, like detained until the police could prove, like she had to prove that she wasn't involved in the robbery. And it's like, hold on.
What happened to innocent until proven guilty?
Right. Right.
Like my name's on the title,
right,
motherfucker. I am going out of my way to come here and say, this is what has happened.
Right.
It's not like I picked it up and took it to my house.
Right. Right.
You know?
And so, ironically, it's probably 10 years ago.
Which is what I
whenever I worked at the motorcycle dealership. So this would have been 20 years ago when I worked at the motorcycle dealership.
I don't even know what year it is anymore.
We had a motorcycle stolen off of the front.
I think we've talked about this once.
Yeah,
maybe.
we had a motorcycle stolen off the front sidewalk of the delership. And it's like, wow, damn, that sucks.
Was the key in it?
So what it was a guy wanted to... we wouldn't allow him to test drive it, but he wanted to like fire it up and hear it run and everything else.
Oh yeah,
and
dummies.
so he fires it up and he pulls the clutch in, drops it in gear, and just drives off.
See him,
right?
Just deuces.
Yeah, and so obviously we called the cops and make a report and everything else, and no big deal. That happened at like 8 a.m. Okay, or maybe 9 a.m. Well, I go to lunch that day. And I lived in Grain Valley, and so I was like broke as a joke. And so I had to go buy groceries, and then I was going to go home and make my own lunch and then come back to work.
Yeah. You guys got a long lunch because you had like
12
an hour
lunch.
Yeah, you had like 12-hour days or something.
Yeah, it was a long day, so we had a long lunch. And so I go to the grocery store in Grain Valley, and there's a motorcycle that's just like the one that was stolen off of our sidewalk like a few hours before.
And this is when you were young and full of gung-ho.
Yeah, I was like 19 or 20, maybe.
You'd have been 21, maybe.
Yeah, somewhere around there. But so I call the dealership and I'm like, hey, give me the last 6 of the VIN of the motorcycle that was stolen this morning. And so they give me the VIN, the last 6. I look at it and I'm like, I found our motorcycle. It's in this parking lot.
Yeah.
And I watched the guy get off the motorcycle and walk into the store holding a helmet. And so we called Grain Valley cops. Grain Valley's a small town. Their cops absolutely want something to do.
Yeah.
They're not like Kansas City where they try to get out of the work.
No.
They were like, let's go. Right?
They're like, I've already had 8 donuts. I need something to do.
So they showed up in seconds. And Grain Valley's not that big.
No, it's tiny.
But they showed up in like literally less than 45 seconds. They showed up and the cops are like, so what's going on? I'm like, this motorcycle belongs to Dell's Honda. I work there. It was stolen this morning. Ironically, I just happened to see it sitting here and the guy's in that grocery store right now. And they were like, are you sure? And I'm like, just go walk through the grocery store and detain the guy holding a helmet.
Yeah.
There's no other motorcycles in the parking lot. So when you find the guy holding a helmet, that's your guy. And so they go detain him. And sure enough, he's got a key in his pocket that goes to this motorcycle.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of falls into place. The cops put me in the back of a car and questioned me because I had way too much information for this to just be happenstance. And I'm like, what do you mean too much information? I work at the dealership.
Yeah,
I helped file the fucking police report.
This an hour ago.
Yeah. I'm like, it's just luck that I happened to be broke and needed to go by the grocery store to buy food to make lunch.
I'm lucky that I was broke.
Right.
It's almost
No
like
one
you
says
have
that.
more luck in the situation acting like you didn't know all the information.
Yeah.
Are you right?
Yeah.
He just looked suspicious, so
He
I
just
called.
looked
Okay,
suspicious.
sir. See ya. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Like, what?
They won't do anything for that.
Yeah.
So
It's just
yeah,
crazy, man.
It's kind of wild how all that stuff shakes out. But so last night, now that we knew the car where the house, now that we knew the house where the car stopped, last night my wife and I did go cruise through the area just to see if it's still sitting there. And obviously, in this area, we're not doing shit. Like, you're not going to get out of the car. You're not going to do anything.
If you'd have took me, I'd have got out of the car and got in it.
Well,
and
so
I'd
we
have
did-
drove it. I'd have drove that motherfucker back.
we did go armed, and we did take the title, and we did take the keys. Because I don't know how exactly they stole this one. I'm assuming our keys might still work. I don't know. But yeah, if the opportunity was there, Danielle was going to drop me off, and I was going to steal the car back.
It's not stealing if it's yours. Stop
right.
saying steal.
Right.
I was going to take back my possession
Right.
that you technically don't own because you had a loan on it. But whatever.
You know, what's wild is, so the car obviously wasn't there. It's looking like this house is a drug house, because in our perusing around the neighborhood, there were like 7 other cars that stopped at this house for 10 minutes and then left. Pretty
Maybe
odd.
tell the detectives. Hey, be like, hey, dude, I don't know if you're watching this house or not, but
It's 2 blocks from your place. Like,
You're saying that
yeah,
one,
like have some pride.
yeah.
you were saying
like-
that one comment where that guy's phone was left in his car and there was different stops. Like
Yeah.
it's like a whole operation.
Oh, it's undoubtedly a whole, like the
Yeah.
KCMO police told me they're chasing an in-depth operation and they just can't catch up to him yet.
Yeah.
Did you say, hey, look, I have this information.
Right.
I caught him.
Right.
Hey, dummies.
So I called they gave me a number to their high crimes division, and I called them, and I'm like, I'll give you all this information if you want to do anything with it. They go figure, they haven't called me back yet.
Yeah, they're not doing
But
nothing.
Daniel and I noticed something very unique last night. That neighborhood, for as trashy as it is, like with all these real estate agents sending me photos of everything,
Yeah.
like the house that this was parked at momentarily, the house is valued at $38,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Junk. Yeah.
It's a 924 square foot house in the middle of the ghetto, under 40 grand, and you can buy this house. The area, the entire neighborhood is full of $50,000+ cars.
Yeah.
Hellcats, Challengers,
They're probably
Chargers,
all fucking stolen.
Lincoln Navigators, Escalades. I mean, we're talking like, fuck.
Like nice shit.
These guys are hood rich over here. And I mean, it's easy to be hood rich when you ain't paying for anything, but you know, it's just kind of like, man, and part of me actually wished I would have taken our kids, because this is why I say part of me. I don't regret not taking
No,
the kids.
I'm just the
But,
fact that is not what I thought you were gonna say.
No,
Made me laugh.
Oh, like it would do the kids good to see, like, hey, this is why mom and dad work so hard.
Dude, you want
This
to
is why you make good decisions, because look how, like, they don't have a choice. They have to live this way.
Yeah. Do you want me to take them on some tours of the places I used to live?
Yeah, we want to head to Argentina.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'll just take them to all the houses where me and my family lived all those years, and
Yeah.
where my cousins, everybody lived, and be like, okay, just look around.
Yeah.
For all this,
This is why.
Yep.
for all this like class warfare stuff, I'm like, we gotta take on the rich. So I'm like, I'm driving through the neighborhood and like those cars are probably twice the value of my car.
Yeah.
I'm driving through. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, what do you mean class warfare? These guys have nicer stuff than I
Yeah.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a
You're
political fodder thing, is the whole take on the rich. But
Yeah.
it's
Eat the rich.
just
Except for
interesting
Taylor
that,
Swift. We love her.
that dynamic. And you know, I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place, because yeah, I have insurance and I should just let the thing work out and I should just let the cops do their thing. But I don't feel like I can ethically bitch at the cops for not doing their job if I literally watch my car drive by me and I don't express even 1 ounce of interest in trying to solve it, you know?
I completely understand the first part. The going back.
Well, so
Stop.
the going back is more out of like
That's the pride.
curiosity.
That's
than,
the pride thing.
Not really, because I still don't want the car back.
If you need stuff to do, call me. I'll give you stuff to do.
Off the record, even though this is on a podcast,
Should we?
off
hear
the
me?
record,
Can't hear it.
there's a good chance if I find the car and open the door and look in it and realize like this thing's trashed, but maybe not quite trashed enough to total it, there might be a chance that I say that I never found it. You know what I mean?
Oh, just shut the door and walk
Just
away.
shut the door and call it a loss.
Well, it'd be one thing.
You're not taking the car.
Right. Right. I mean,
I don't
either which way, it's most likely going to be totaled. The back bumper's already fucked on the thing.
Yeah,
I saw that from yesterday.
I don't give a lot of advice when I'm like real staunch in what I'm going to say. Let it fucking go, dog.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
Let it go.
I can't promise anything.
Let it
It is
go.
a different situation though. Like, say if he hadn't ever seen it, and then he just dedicates like months and months trying to find it, but the fact that he did see it,
Yeah, but
there's
it's
a little bit of like
it's getting ready to turn into a
well,
phobia.
it's a taunting thing when you see something that was stolen from you, and you're like, dude, it's just right there.
Well, and it's not really like, because
If it
I
was-
don't have the high level of love and attachment to that car, right? And it did Danielle a lot of good to see the car in the video as trashed as it is, because now that's helped separate Danielle from the attachment that she had to that car. That's the first nice car she's ever had. I want to say like nice, I mean like high-end nice, right? She had a 2013 Ford Fusion before this, and we bought it brand new, but like high-end nice car, right?
Yeah, but it's amazing to me. My dad is this way.
Yeah.
How attached people get to inanimate objects. Like, there are things that have. When I bought that Camaro when I was 18, like that's the first high-end thing I had that I bought on my own.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You would have fought. You would have
No.
fought to blood over that.
No, I wouldn't have. I sold the fucking thing for $6,000. Didn't even give a shit. Didn't blink twice.
I'm talking like 2 weeks after you had it, 3 weeks after.
She's
you
had it 2 years.
I know.
2 years? No, because
But for a girl that grew up in a single wide trailer,
dude, I grew up in an 800 square foot house.
I know.
But they didn't even have air conditioning in our farmhouse till I left. I'm
We all
not
place
saying
value on different things.
I'm
right?
not saying something's wrong with her. I'm saying in general, it's
Yeah.
amazing to me that people can get attached to things that don't fucking matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Well-
my dad with his house now.
Yeah.
That motherfucker has been fixing that house
Yeah, I know.
since he bought it.
Grant and I have been fishing over there.
That's been 35 years.
It's got like 5-year-old Tyvek on the
It's
outside of
been
it.
moved and it's still not done. I love my dad to death.
Yeah.
But he's attached to that. Like,
Yeah.
I think finally he's starting to like, okay, if I want to retire, I'm going to move on. I'm going to do. But it's like, dude, how could, like when he was remodeling the kitchen and all that, I'm like, Dad, you know what this house needs? A match, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Is he a builder?
No.
Because you just have that thing where it's like builders like to live in houses that are never complete. Plumbers live in
No,
houses.
he just
that
doesn't
are-
have money to
No, this
complete
is
it.
a 100-plus-year-old farmhouse.
It's like 130 now.
that they actually had to pick up and move off of its cobblestone foundation because they widened the road.
Yeah.
And it was too close to the road. So the city
Yeah.
paid to move it.
Yeah. I
like
love you, Dad.
300 feet farther back off the road.
Yeah. I know he listens to the podcast. I
Yeah.
love you, Dad. I'm not trashing you. I'm just
I
using
mean,
you as an
it's
example.
a really cool story.
You're doing great, Dave's dad.
It is, but it's just it's crazy to me.
No,
like the people, you know what I mean, that can get, and then it only hurts them when something happens to that object,
Right.
or when they hold on to objects that don't mean anything.
Right. No, I could gather all that as Grant and I were fishing over there this summer. Like, you see the Tyvek on the outside of the house where he's never put the siding up on that
Yeah,
portion
he's
of the house.
waiting to blow that side of the house out and
Yeah.
do an ad on it. And I'm like,
and,
Dad,
and it like
stop.
you can totally tell like this is somebody that's greatly attached to this house. They're probably a lot like me. They have a little bit of ADD and they can't focus and complete one project at a time. And I can be that way sometimes.
oh, you are totally
and,
that way.
And like you can just tell, right?
Yeah.
But it's so wild the different objects that we all place value in.
Yeah,
And-
it's crazy.
and we can't control it. It's uncontrollable. But like yesterday, Danielle seeing the video of how trash the back of her car
She
was.
was emotional.
Well, it helped. It helped kind of get her over like my car, because now like that car's been raped and pillaged for 2.5
Yeah.
weeks.
Well, now if she were to get it back, now the whole time she's going to be like,
It's not her car anymore.
yeah, it's not her baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
sort of have like this
These
idea of
losers
what,
have just
it's almost like
ruined it.
fidelity. Almost
well, you have this, you have
That's
this
an
i-
interesting way to
the
say
car
it.
slept with somebody else.
well, you kind of have this image of like in her mind, I bet in her mind the car was still like sparkly and clean and like not been rough rided and all that sort of stuff. But then
Rough
seeing it in
rided.
reality,
I love
Yeah.
that.
it's like, oh, like what I had pictured in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get that way. Like I have some knives that were my grandfather's that I have. Like I'm attached to those,
Yeah,
you know, but it's from something else.
right.
Like my guns downstairs, you could come down there and be like, Dave, I want that gun for this money. And be like, okay.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, The house, I don't care. If someone rolled up tomorrow and was like, I'll give you 1.5 for it.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yep.
I'm moving. And I've got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and
Electricity.
heartache, and I mean, in that house.
Yeah.
Electricity.
I built that fucking house.
Right.
That was my dream, to build that house.
Yep.
And I could walk away from that thing and not even think about it. And it's weird because I'm an emotional person.
Right.
You wouldn't think I'm that way.
Well, and I think some of that all happens too on your path of personal development.
There could be some truth to that.
People that are lower on the personal development scale probably have a falsely high attachment to superficial things. And then as you grow on the development scale, you start to realize like, no, it's the relationships that are more important than the objects and things like that. And like, it's hard to even talk about this without saying like they're just low on their personal development scale. And it's not that. It's like
Everyone's at a different place.
We're all
on
at
their,
a different place,
yeah.
and we all stop at a different place on that trail. But you get people like, you take a guy out of the ghetto, and he gets a good job. He rises up above the stereotype of all of his friends. Like take the movie The Blind Side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You take the guy out of the ghetto, you give him an opportunity. He's going to value those first round of possessions that he has.
Yeah, he's
a
probably
bed,
attached
a
to 'em.
house,
Yeah.
heat, clothes.
It's called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like you start at the bottom, shelter, food, and the very top is like self-actualization.
Right.
And
That
so it
produce-
changes.
Yeah.
It sort of just changes as you go up to where it's like, first you're just like, I just need food and shelter. But then as you get higher and higher, it's like, that's,
Yeah.
that's below you.
And I mean, imagine a homeless guy. Like that guy will fight to the death over a chicken leg.
Yeah. An old hobo nickel. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you really wanted to steal my chicken leg today, I'd be like, okay,
Dude,
like,
take
I
it.
know
I'll
where
get-
my next meal's coming
I'll
from.
get another one.
Right.
Yeah.
But it just comes into your position in life. And that's not to say Danielle's in need or anything else, but like,
No.
she
No,
grew
no,
up
no,
in a
no.
single wide trailer out in the country.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah. That one side of her family, they're pretty redneck.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so like she's going to place a different level of value on things than I do. And keep in mind, Danielle feels like an employee of our plumbing company.
She is.
I know, but she doesn't feel like she's part of the ownership of it.
Is her name on it?
No. I mean, technically she's not, but she's still my spouse, right? And so what I mean by that is like, I have the oversight to look at all the millions of dollars in revenue that we do and everything else. And so I can place different levels of value on different things. But like the employee side of oversight, she's going to place different values on things as an employee.
Yeah.
So,
I get what you're saying.
but
Maybe a nice gesture for her would be to put her on that stuff. If something were,
I include her as much as I can in those business
I
decisions.
mean, on the action, put her name on it.
Oh, yeah, we could. So
It's-
full transparency, whenever I opened the business, I felt like somehow I was protecting her by keeping her name off of it.
Yeah.
I didn't know a lot. I didn't know enough about business at that time to know that it didn't really matter because we're married.
At Warren, Missouri.
But-
Missouri's a 50-50 state.
Yeah.
She could walk out tomorrow and own half your shit.
Well, it wasn't for like a divorce thing or anything else. It was like if somebody sues the business, they can only sue me. They can't sue her or something to that
yeah.
effect, right? And now I realize that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But
The only way to get out of that stuff, for those of you listening, is if you have a partnership. And
Yeah.
your spouse leaves you, she cannot get any part of your partnership.
right.
Just letting you all know.
On that,
Just
I
a little
wanted to
something to put in your cap.
put this in there on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It'll help with this podcast. The bottom rung is sociological, then it's safety, then belonging and love, then esteem, then cognitive, then aesthetic, then self-actualization, then the top one is transcendence. So just like you're sort of, how you make your way up the rung of the pyramid, you're like wants and needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is old. This isn't something new. It's
No,
proposed
yeah.
by
Well, there's-
in 1943.
There's other versions of that for other circles of life where you start talking about like wealth, and poor people value commodities, right? Your cell phone, your Nikes, your whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then as you start to grow in wealth, like I can't remember some of the steps, but then it starts to go towards like investments and making sure that you're looking out for your future and your kids' future. And the highest end of wealth there is, those people are focused on legacy.
Yeah.
They're focused on tradition and legacy and making sure that you're grooming your family in a way to carry the family legacy through and carry all the family traditions through in the right way. In other words, their wealth is so automatic at that point. It's baked in investments
Yeah.
to where the wealth just happens without them
Yeah.
having
And
to work for
and
it.
it's actually, what's funny is it doesn't actually go off of how much money.
No.
It's more of how you view money and where
Exactly.
you're at is
Exactly.
how
I was
that
about to
scale
say that
works. It's
too,
actually,
yeah.
I wish I could remember the name of that book. I've read it. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. And it only talks about that.
Yeah. And
About how people understand wealth.
Like you can see where people are, like watching the comments on that Facebook group. You can see where people are in those individual journeys on those paths.
Yeah.
Because there are people that are like, I would have pit maneuvered that thing and I would have got out and beat that guy's ass, or the cops would have been called and there would have been blood all over it and a couple bullet holes, but I would have gotten my car back. And it's like, dude, nobody's trying to catch a murder charge over an insured vehicle.
On that,
Yeah.
like you brought up a great point too. It's not all money, because I know some people, like my grandma, she had a ton of money, but her mindset was still in that safety thing, because she went through the Great Depression, and so it just like she had all this money, but her mindset was still in the like, I gotta get this and get this and get
Yeah.
this, and like something's on sale.
I might not be able to pay rent next month.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get this. And
Meanwhile, you got $500,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like you said, it's not just wealth. It's probably like competence, maturity.
Well, it's
as
the
you
way,
get older.
it's the way you view wealth.
Yeah.
Is what it comes down
Yeah.
to.
And-
or what's important to you.
And so,
Along
like,
with your
I know this
financial
wasn't quite
means.
a business show, but to liken this to business, those journeys that we're talking about, you're going to go through those in business. When you first open your business, your sole focus is selling the job, closing the deal, getting it done. And then as you start building your team and growing through your team, your focus shifts to getting the team to sell the job and do everything and getting the leads to come in and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then your business comes to some sort of a stable level to where revenue happens without you having to do anything. And so now you can start focusing on quality and tradition and excellence and everything else that just piles on top of all of that.
Yeah.
And so, crazy long-winded story. That story is too wild to not share.
No, it's a great Mitch story.
Right.
It is a great
Just
Mitch story.
like, what are the odds that my stolen car passes me 2.5 weeks later while I'm on the phone with Danielle
yeah.
and I'm able to catch up to it and get a little bit of footage
I
of
mean,
it?
just the odds that you would be on that road at that time.
Yeah.
Like I like to go down the rabbit hole sometimes of what did it take for all of these things to come together.
Right.
I had to tie my shoe extra slow today.
Well, what's
or
funny
I
is-
just slipped on shoes instead of getting my boots from downstairs. Like all of those little times and seconds come together for that to happen.
Yeah.
Is just, it boggles my mind sometimes.
What's funny is I was trying to leave that that estimate, I was trying to leave that as fast as I could because I had a doctor's appointment to get to yesterday afternoon. And the
Didn't
guys
make that, did you?
No, I ended up making it actually. But the guys that I walked into the doctor's office and they're like, "Let's check your blood pressure," and I'm like,
gonna be high.
let's do that at the end.
Let's check it at the end.
A little high right now." But I was trying to get out of that consult a little early. And the guys that run this program, they wanted to shoot, like, it's been 2 weeks since I've sem, so they wanted to chat and catch
Yeah.
up and everything else.
They don't get out of the office that much.
And so I'm doing that Midwest goodbye where I'm slowly stepping away and and smack the knee and all these things. and so like I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Yeah.
But literally those guys keeping me and talking to me for a few
Yeah.
minutes is the only reason that whole
time
thing
that
happened.
thing out. I actually pulled an Irish goodbye. Well, this was
We call that a Van Dyke.
a Van Dyke.
We should formulate a business Maslow hierarchy of needs thing. Like you were just mentioning, like
Yeah, we
first is
should. That'd
just
be
getting
good.
your own job is just getting the sale, getting the Google review, and then as you move up,
Yeah,
kind of cool
how
to have
that
like a
all-
trade
Maybe
wins.
it's not Maslow's, maybe it's Mitchell's hierarchy. Of
No,
Oh,
dude, it's like
God,
a trade
here we
wins
go.
hierarchy of business needs, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It'd be
What
kind
was
of
I saying?
cool.
I don't
Sorry, I
know
just
what I was
totally.
saying. Yeah, you did.
You started topping and I
remember-
took it and just
Oh,
threw it
I was
across the
saying I did an
pond.
Irish goodbye.
Yeah.
Layla had an out of town soccer tournament. Was this maybe 2 months ago in St. Louis? All the parents are down in the conference room just drinking, like playing drinking games and doing stuff, and like the tequila comes out. Everybody's doing some shots and stuff, and I'm having a good time. And they start. I had said this like 40 minutes before this.
Who drinks first, the forwards or the goalies?
The kids?
Yeah.
They don't get to drink.
Oh, okay.
But I was telling him, I was like, I like to just, I'll get drunk and be doing stuff and I'll just vanish. I'll Irish goodbye your ass.
Yeah.
And so
You
there's
did at
like,
the Trade Winds event in Vegas.
yep, there's like 10, there's 10 or 12 of them down there and they start talking about cleaning up pizza boxes and doing this and blah, blah. And I was like,
Deuces.
right out the door. The next morning of the soccer game, they're like, nice Irish goodbye. We thought you were fucking with us. I was
Yeah.
like, no, dude, I will vanish.
I dipped.
I'll just gone.
Dip out.
See you.
Yeah.
Dip out and come back later.
So, yeah.
It's good stuff.
Keep in mind where you're at in business on those needs. Keep in mind also your physical and emotional attachment to things. Don't get in over your head. Don't go do dumb shit. Right? Like even like you and I can disagree whether I should have driven out there and looked for the car again today.
We have to disagree. We have a podcast.
Right. But I know for myself that I wouldn't have done anything dumb. Like I did actually see the car today.
You didn't chase it this time?
Well, it was on a divided highway and they were going as fast as I was in the other direction. And by the time I could have turned around, they would have been miles away.
I'm surprised you didn't take the diesel.
So I thought about it.
So they wouldn't know if they saw you again.
Right. So I thought about it, and the diesel's not fast enough to keep up with it if I had to do
You're
anything,
not keeping up. You're
I
staying
understand.
back, calling.
I might have to catch up, though.
That thing is probably faster than you think.
I don't know. The diesel tops out at 98, so I'm told. I have not topped it out
What is it
yet.
with your cars and being slow?
I don't know. I don't need to go faster than 100. I've done that. I've gone 186 before. I don't need to go fast again. So...
Yeah, no one needs to go fast.
They
It's
just want to.
fun to go
Yeah.
fast.
But yeah, don't let your pride get in the way. Realize your losses, realize your protections that come with insurance and everything else, and handle that. But like I'll probably have a different opinion about my actions 2 weeks from now than I have them right now. But right
Yeah,
now
because you
it's
won't
kind
be
of
as
one
on
of those,
fire about it.
Well, and it's one of those things where I can't bitch about the cops not doing their job if I see the car and I don't even try
Yeah.
myself.
Well, it's the blood pressure thing too.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
Not blood pressure,
not,
but
no, I mean at the time.
adrenaline.
At the time,
Yeah.
it's more in front of your brain. I want to take care of it. This and that. A week from now, it's calmed down and you don't care.
Well, and I mean, literally the moment the insurance company gives me a check, it's like I sold the car. I don't care who owns it at that point.
I hope you get that check.
Yeah. So we'll see. I might own 2 Jeep SRTs, one in great shape and one that's hagged out. We don't know.
Dude, if you get the hagged out one for cheap, I've been thinking about getting a Plymouth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I have an engine,
That would be really cool.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
6.4 liter.
Fuck yeah.
8-speed transmission.
It's like the LS swaps that everyone does.
You'd put that Jeep dash in there and everything. Oh, that'd be cool.
Dude, I do the whole thing.
Yeah.
I
that would
take
be
the
awesome.
suspension off of it too and try to get it as...
Just have to get the weed smell out of it because I guarantee you it's caked.
That's not a problem.
Guaranteed.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little baking soda. It'd
All
be
right.
fun.
Well, today was a long show, but obviously quite
That's
the
okay.
story to go with it. So until next week, guys, we will see you later.
See ya.